Think about this for a second. Two kids, same talent, same drive, but their lives end up on completely different paths. How? We're told this simple story, right? That success is just about being smart and working hard. But what if that whole story is a lie?
What if the real story is about all the stuff we never see? You know, the hidden ingredients, like pure dumb luck, where you were born, when you were born, and these invisible cultural rules that are secretly running our lives. So today, we are diving deep into Malcolm Gladwell's game-changing book, Outliers. We're going to unpack the hidden science that really separates the world's most successful people from, well, everyone else. Get ready, because this book shows why pretty much everything you and I have been taught about success is wrong. Okay, so first things first, we have to completely tear down our favorite myth, the idea of the self-made hero. You know the type, that lone genius who just pulls themselves up from nothing by sheer force of will. We absolutely love this story, don't we? We see it everywhere, from our history books to the tech billionaires on the news. It's this idea that the greatest people are like these giant trees that just sprouted from a single seed, all by themselves, with no help from the forest around them. But Gladwell's point is that this picture isn't just a little off, it's totally backwards. Instead, he shows us that successful people are always products of the world they grew up in. Their success comes from this whole web of hidden advantages and gifts. We're talking about incredible opportunities, being born at just the right moment in history, the powerful legacy of their ancestors, and tiny advantages that just add up over time. See, outliers aren't magic. They're the tallest trees in the forest because they were lucky enough to be planted in the best soil. So, where do these advantages come from? Well, let's start with one of the most powerful hidden forces out there. It's something sociologists call the Matthew effect, and it explains how a tiny, almost random head start can snowball into a life-changing advantage. And yeah, the name actually comes from this verse in the Bible, but the principle is super simple. Them that has, gets. The rich get richer. The successful get more chances to be even more successful. It's literally a snowball effect of advantage building on advantage. Okay, and this is where it gets crazy. Check this out. This is the roster for a top-tier junior hockey team in Canada. Look at the birthdays. Seriously, look at them. Almost every single player was born in January, February, or March. So, is there something magical about being a winter baby? Nope. It's just that the cutoff date for age-class hockey in Canada is January 1st. A kid born on January 4th is competing against kids who might be born in late December, making them almost a full year younger. Now, when you're 9 years old, that 1 year is a massive physical advantage. So the slightly older kid gets picked for the all-star team, gets the best coaches, practices way more, and that tiny initial advantage just snowballs year after year. And here's the kicker. What we look at and call natural talent is so often just timing. It's a lucky birthday. A completely arbitrary rule created a hidden advantage that changed everything. This leads us right to another huge idea from Outliers that you've probably heard of, the 10,000-hour rule. The idea that it takes 10,000 hours of practice to become a world-class expert. But that's only half the story. The real question isn't who is willing to practice, it's who even gets the chance to practice for 10,000 hours. I mean, let's just take Bill Gates. Of course he put in his hours, but how? Well, in 1968, when he was in 8th grade, his private high school got a super rare, super expensive computer terminal. This was insane at the time. It was like having a private space shuttle when everyone else was riding a bike. Then he got even more computer time at a local company, logging over 1,500 hours in just 7 months, basically living and breathing code. So by the time the PC revolution kicked off in '75, Bill Gates already had his 10,000 hours. He wasn't just a hard worker. He was the recipient of a 1 in a million series of lucky breaks and opportunities. And that is the real lesson here. Practice doesn't make perfect. Access to practice does. The opportunity is the magic ingredient. Okay, but what about just being a flat-out genius? Surely a super high IQ is the ultimate cheat code for success, right? Well, Gladwell says, not really. It turns out there's a point where being smarter doesn't really help you. Other skills become way more important. To get this, he tells this incredible story of two geniuses. On one hand, you have Chris Langan, a guy with an IQ somewhere around 195, one of the highest ever measured. He spent most of his life working as a bouncer and a farmer. Then you have J. Robert Oppenheimer. Brilliant guy, sure, but his IQ wasn't even close to Langan's. He, of course, led the Manhattan Project. So what was the difference? Oppenheimer had what's called practical intelligence. He knew how to talk to people, how to persuade them, how to navigate the system to get what he wanted. Langan grew up poor and never learned those skills. He couldn't even convince a college dean to let him switch a class. Oppenheimer, on the other hand, convinced a U.S. general to let him run the most important scientific project in history.
So here's the hard truth, and it's a tough one for a lot of us. Being smart doesn't automatically make you successful. Being socially fluent does. Your raw IQ might get you in the door, but practical intelligence is knowing how to work the room once you're inside. Now, this last piece of the puzzle, it might be the most mind-bending of all. It's our cultural legacy. The idea that we are all walking, talking products of a history we had no say in, and that the attitudes and habits passed down for generations have a shocking impact on our lives today. And the examples Gladwell gives are just wild. He shows how the way a culture teaches people to talk to authority figures actually contributed to a series of plane crashes because co-pilots were too deferential to correct a captain's deadly mistake. He connects the legacy of difficult, painstaking work in rice paddies to why students from those cultures tend to crush it at math. He even shows how an ancient culture of honor from sheep herding days still affects how people in certain parts of the world react to insults today. It's not just trivia. Our culture writes invisible instructions into our very being. So, if success is really about all these external things, timing, culture, lucky breaks, what are we supposed to do? Just give up? No, the point is to stop searching for superstars and start building systems that create them. We can literally design opportunity. And this brings us to what I think is the most powerful takeaway from this entire explainer. If you have ever felt like you're not good enough or that you're somehow failing, please listen to this. You are not behind. You are inside a system that's filled with arbitrary rules, hidden advantages, and lucky breaks for some and not for others. The answer isn't just to work harder. It's to understand the system and then work to change it. And we know this is possible. You look at programs like KIPP schools, which completely change the learning environment for kids. They give them more time, more support, a different set of expectations, and they produce incredible results. They create outliers. So how do you become an outlier in a world that seems to have the deck stacked from the very beginning? You start by realizing that success is never a solo act. It's a gift that comes from our community, our history, and the opportunities we make for each other. The goal isn't just to be one of the lucky few who wins the lottery of life. The real goal is to change the system so that everyone gets a ticket.